All right, please have your notes open to this page. Our focus is moving between point-slope form and slope-intercept form of a line. And then you should have this little strip of paper taped into your notebook, so we're going to fill this in together. So we are given two examples of equations that are in point-slope form. So y minus 3 equals 2 times x plus 5, and y plus 4 equals 1/2 times x minus 12. So those both start out in point-slope form, and then by the end, they are in slope-intercept form. And we are going to analyze these and figure out what steps were taken to switch them from point-slope form to slope-intercept form. So if we look carefully at this middle row, it goes from y minus 3 equals 2 times x plus 5 to y minus 3 equals 2x plus 10. And if you think carefully about what happened to get from that top line to that second line, it seems like the 2 was just distributed. 2 times x makes the 2x, 2 times 5 makes the plus 10. Let's double check and see if that's the same thing that happened on the other example. So y plus 4 equals 1/2 times x minus 12. If we distribute the 1/2, we get this 1/2 x right here. And 1/2 times negative 12 is the negative 6. So in both cases, the same step was taken, which was to distribute this number out front, which is really the slope. The 2 and the 1/2 are the slope. So we could say our step right here is, first step is to distribute the slope. Okay, now if we look at that second row and how we got to the third row, let's see, it was y minus 3 equals 2x plus 10, and then it's just y equals 2x plus 13. So if you analyze that, it seems like to go from y minus 3 to get to just y, we would have had to add 3 here. And then whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. So we would have to add 3 over here. So y minus 3 plus 3 makes just the y on the left. And then the 2x plus 10 plus 3 simplifies to 2x plus 13. Okay, looking at the other example, it was y plus 4, and then it down below is just y. So to get from y plus 4 to just y, we would have had to subtract 4. And then whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. So if we subtract 4 over there, the y plus 4 minus 4 is just the y. 1/2 x minus 6 minus 4 simplifies to 1/2 x minus 10. So to summarize what was done on that second row to get to the third row, we could say in the middle here, we could say we had to get y by itself. In some cases you'll add, in some cases you'll subtract, depending on what the equation looks like. When it's y minus 3, you have to add 3. When it's y plus 4, you have to subtract 4. You do whatever you need to do to get y by itself. So those are the two main steps we follow to go from a point slope form to a slope intercept form. It's really easy once you practice a few times. So let's practice a couple more times. So write this down right here. The directions: convert the following equations to slope-intercept form. And then example 1 is y minus 5 equals 2 times x minus 0. So if you need to pause and get that written down, do it. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going to keep the video shorter. So our first step, again, was to distribute the slope. I'm going to write that one more time to help it stick in our minds. So our slope is the 2. So I'm going to distribute this. So we get y minus 5 equals 2x. And then 2 times 0 is just 0. So I could say minus 0, I could say plus 0, or I don't really have to write anything. I could just leave it off. So I think I'll do that because that's more simplified. Then our second step was to get y by itself. So in this case, since it's y minus 5, I really want y plus 0, which is the same as just y. So to make that minus 5 turn into a 0, I need to add 5. And then I need to do it on the other side as well. So I get the negative 5 and the positive 5 makes 0. So I could say y plus 0, or just leave it as y, equals 2x plus 5. Now this equation is in slope-intercept form. I know my slope is 2, which I already knew because it started out as 2 in the point slope form. But now I know that my y-intercept is 5, which actually, if I had been thinking carefully, I could have known that just from the very beginning. Because the point that's kind of hidden in here, here's my x1, here's my y1. My point is 0, 5. which has to be the y-intercept, because the y-intercept is always when x is 0. Okay, so there's one example. Write down number 2. Y plus 9 equals negative 2/3 times x plus 6. So remember, step 1, distribute the slope. This time we have a fraction. Don't freak out. They're okay. So I'm going to rewrite y plus 9 equals, now negative 2/3 times x, it's just negative 2/3 x. Negative 2/3 times 6. I'm going to teach you the quick way to do this, the way I do it. In another video I kind of mentioned this, so this might sound familiar. When we're multiplying with a fraction and a whole number, all it really means is you do the number 6 times the top of the fraction. So 6 times negative 2, which is a negative 12. And then we're dividing by the bottom number. So negative 12/3, and then we can simplify that. So y plus 9 equals negative 2/3 x. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4, so minus 4. Okay, we are almost done. We distributed the slope. Second thing is to get y by itself. I'm going to continue over here so I have a little more room. So I'm going to rewrite y plus 9 equals negative 2/3 x minus 4. Okay, in this case, to get y by itself, I need to subtract 9 on both sides. So I get y equals negative 2/3 x minus 13. So my slope is negative 2/3. My y-intercept is 0, negative 13. Or sometimes we just say negative 13. All right, so there's 2 more examples of converting from point slope to slope-intercept. Now number 3 is going to be slightly different. So take a second and write the directions. Write this problem out. Oops, let me scoot it. So it says, write the slope-intercept form equation for the line that goes through the points negative 6, 3 and negative 10, 1 without graphing. So this one has more steps to it because we don't already have the point slope equation. So first we're going to have to make the point slope equation, which we've been practicing. So in order to make the point slope equation, first we need to find the slope. Then we're going to pick a point. And then we're going to plug those into the equation. Into the point slope equation. Then we'll have a point slope equation and we just follow the steps that we already did. So our second big step will be convert from point slope to slope intercept. And I'm going to say C above because we already explained the steps to do that up above. So let's do it. So to make the point slope equation, I'm going to find the slope. Okay, so using these 2 points, I'm going to do 1 minus 3. So that minus that, that's the change in y. And then the change in x, since I started with the 1, I'm going to start with a negative 10 minus negative 6. So negative 10 minus negative 6. If you wanted to start with the other point, that's fine. We should get the same answer in the end. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. Divided by negative 10 minus negative 6 is like adding. Negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4. Negative 2 divided by negative 4 is positive 1/2. Okay, that's my slope. My second thing was to pick a point. I'm going to pick the first one, negative 6, 3. So point negative 6, comma 3. Okay, then I need to plug those into the point slope equation. So it goes y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So it's going to be y minus 3 equals 1/2 times x plus 6, because it would have been x minus negative 6. All right, so I got my point slope equation. I'm going to convert to slope-intercept form. So this is like what we started with. Our first step is to distribute the slope. So y minus 3 equals 1/2 x, and then 1/2 of 6 is 3, so plus 3, because 1 times 6 is 6, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And the very last thing I do is get y by itself. So in this case, I have to add 3. So plus 3 plus 3. I get y equals 1/2 x plus 6. And I am done. I got an equation in slope-intercept form from 2 points without graphing. So I think I would like you to write a summary this time. Let's summarize how to write a slope-intercept form equation. Let's do one from a point slope equation, and then two from 2 points. This will make sure you're really taking in what I'm saying and thinking about it and not just being like a robot and writing down what I write down without thinking. Okay, the end.